I'm Michelle and this is Mishmash. Today I wanted to do a try chapter tag video, which if you haven't seen before is I take a stack of books that I haven't started reading yet and read the first chapter in each book, and after each chapter I come on here and tell you a little bit about what the first chapter was like, what the writing style is like, and how it's making me think about the book so far, and then at the end I choose which book I'm gonna continue reading. I got a bunch of books out of the library and they're all really buzzy books. I've been hearing a lot about them right now, so I basically want to read them all, and this could be really problematic. So I'll start with telling you what they're all, the titles and the authors, and then before I read each one I'm going to tell you a bit about them. So the first book is Burn Baby Burn by Medina. Next is Sweetbitter by Stephanie Danler. Then A Spool of Blue Thread by Ann Tyler. This is Names for the Sea, Strangers in Iceland by Sarah Moss. And the final book is Behold the Dreamers by Imbolo and Mbue. Okay, so I'm going to start with the biggest book because I don't want to have to carry it with me when I go for a walk. So let's start with Behold the Dreamers by Imbolo and Mbue. I heard about this on a few different people's channels, I think on Book Riot's channel as well. A few of these are ones I've heard on Book Riot. And this is a story set in New York. Actually, 3 of the books I chose were set in New York, 1 in Baltimore and 1 in Iceland. So I'm really feeling New York right now. This book is about an immigrant family from Cameroon, and they come to New York and in about 2007, and he gets a job working as a driver for a rich man. So it sounds pretty good. It's like a tale of like family, immigration, and I guess that time period. So I'm gonna make a cup of tea, try out this book, and I'll let you know what I think of it. Okay, so I just finished the first 2 chapters of this. I just read the second chapter as well because it was only like 3 pages. And I can tell I'm gonna really like this book. It like already made me tear up a little bit. I could just sense this is gonna make me like really feel for these characters. I have like a really soft spot in my heart for immigrants. I'm not really sure why, I just have so much empathy for them. And so this starts out with Jende. He goes to the interview for that chauffeur job. Obviously we know that he gets it, but not in this first chapter, so he is super nervous. He meets with the man, and he seems like a really high power exec somewhere in New York, you know? And right away he says that if he gets hired, he would have to sign a confidentiality agreement, so he can't tell anyone like what he overhears or sees, and he would have to do it like whatever he's asked, no questions. Of course he wants a job, so he's like, yep, that sounds great. And it seems like he's probably lying about his working status, and I just hope good things happen to them, and I'm scared they're not. This was also just super easy to read, just really quick and straightforward, and I kind of really like that in a book sometimes. So I'm really, really excited about this book, definitely going to read it at some point, but let's move on to the next one. This is Sweetbitter by Stephanie Danler. So I've heard mixed things about this. I remember hearing about it somewhere and thinking, ooh, that sounds really cool, because it's about a woman in New York that she is like 22 and she works in a restaurant, and that's kind of all I know about it, but then I heard that some people really didn't like it, so that's kind of all I know so far, so let's get reading. Okay, so I read the first chapter of this, and it's so funny that I read it right after Behold the Dreamers, because this starts out with her moving to New York and having an interview for a job. But so really similar but really different in the same way. But I don't know how I feel about this. It felt kind of pretentious, but then there were bits that were like, oh, that's kind of funny. In the interview, he is asking her what she knows about wine, and she clearly didn't know anything. And he says, "What are the 5 noble grapes of Bordeaux?" And she's imagining 5 grapes with little crowns and being like, "We are the noble grapes." I thought that was so funny. So I don't know. I'm curious about this, but I'm not as excited to read this one, I guess. So I don't know. This is Bird Baby Bird by Meg Medina. This is one I heard about on Book Riot. So this book is also set in New York. This is about a girl named Nora Lopez who is 17, and this is set in 1977. So apparently there was a serial killer called the Son of Sam, which I don't really know anything about that. I think maybe I'm too young or something to know, but he was targeting young women, and so it seems like this book is a little bit scary, and she's living in fear. Like, all young women in New York at the time were living in fear that they would be the next victim. So that's kind of all I know about it, but it sounds pretty good. So I'm going to read this one next. Okay, so I just finished the first chapter of Burn Baby Burn out here on my balcony. I don't know, this first chapter was pretty good. It follows Nora and her best friend Kathleen, and they go see a movie, and the movie they see is Carrie by Stephen King, and so they're all freaked out by it, and they have to get home at night in the dark, and they run, and they're just freaked out. Like, I think any girl has had that experience before. It was easy reading, it was fine. It wasn't anything that was like super gripping, but I guess I'm not like super excited about it. I also didn't realize that it's a YA according to this library book. Didn't really seem like it was necessarily YA. She's 17, I guess. But yeah, so anyway, it's okay. So I have 2 books left, and I'm gonna bring them both out, I think, for a walk and read outside. So I'll little run through each of them now. The Spool of Blue Thread. This is by Danler. I really don't know much about this, but I've heard a lot of people like it. But I think it actually goes back, it follows like 4 generations. So it starts in the 20s, and then she meets her husband, the main character meets her husband in the late 50s, and it might go on from there, I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna give that one a try. And then this one, ooh, that's really bright, Names for the Sea. This is set in Iceland, and I actually went to Iceland 2.5 years ago, and absolutely loved it. It's such a beautiful country. This picture on the front, which I don't know if you can really see that, it's a picture from above of the Blue Lagoon, which I went to, and it's all these little people, and I just think that's a really cool picture. I love that cover. This is non-fiction. It's like a memoir, and this writer moves to Iceland right before their economy collapses, and she gets hired by a university. So she moves there, and then her salary is cut in half, and the volcano erupts, and she meets lots of different interesting characters, and there are interesting characters in Iceland. I can vouch for that. People who believe in fairies, people who live out in the middle of nowhere and very remote and stuff, and I think I'm really gonna like this. I'm excited to read that one. Let's go for a walk. Okay, so I'm sitting out here in a little park by the river. It's pretty loud out here, so I'm going to try and talk loud enough. Hopefully you can hear me. I just finished the first chapter of A Spool of Blue Thread by Danler. It's a really long chapter, actually. I'm liking it so far. It's basically just a family story, kind of the dynamics of this family, and they have 4 kids, and one of their kids is quite kind of the recluse, the black sheep of the family, and it's kind of just told the story of his life, kind of, through the eyes of the parents. And then I think it's going to tell stories of different generations of the family. It's pretty good. It's interesting. I don't know what else to say. And it's written fairly easily. It's not like it's hard to understand what's happening or anything like that. yeah, but I like family stuff. I like family dynamic things, so okay, I'm gonna keep walking for a little bit and then I'm going to read the Iceland book. Now I'm just sitting right by the river. You can see the city behind me. I just finished reading the first chapter of Names for the Sea, and I really liked it, but I think that I might really like it because I've actually been to Iceland and it just reminds me of it, and I really, really loved it. And also I've been to Norway, and that's like my favorite country in the world. But so it starts out with the first chapter is her first trip to Iceland when she was like a young woman, and then apparently she goes back when she's married and has kids. At the very end of the first chapter, she talks about getting this job as a university prof. So I didn't really get a feel for what the actual full story is going to be like, I guess, but I think I'm going to really like it. I'm almost like wanting to buy the book because I love the cover so much and it reminds me of Iceland, and I just think I might want to read it again and again, so we'll see, but I really like that one. I'm going to head home and then let you know which book I'm going to continue reading with. Okay, I am back. I had a lot of fun actually. I feel like I picked some like really good books. I enjoyed all of them. There wasn't one that I was like really not liking, which makes this harder. So I would say in order from least interested to most interested. Starting with my least interested book, I think I'm gonna go with Sweetbitter actually, which is kind of surprising, but because I had like some slight feelings of it being a little pretentious, and I don't know, it just wasn't grabbing me. Then on from that, probably, I don't know, Spool of Blue Thread and Burn Baby Burn. I'm interested in this one because people said it was scary, and I'm kind of like, I haven't read a scary book in a while. So the sun's kind of shining on my face weird. I like this one because it's family drama, but they're both kind of like, probably library books. I'll try and read them while I have them out. And then the ones I like the most, I'll say this one next, Names for the Sea. I really am excited to read more of this, and I just really like it. So definitely want to get to that one. But then I say the one I'm most excited about is Behold the Dreamers. But I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of want to buy this book now, but I don't know if I should or not. So let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them. And from what I've said, which one do you think you would be the most interested in? And yeah, I'm going to try and read this one and maybe a couple others while I have them out from the library. And if I do, I will talk about them in a future wrap-up, so you can stay tuned and subscribe to catch that video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.